Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Vasi. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai. All our viewers.
Rotus, was that traffic again?
Oh, gosh. Let's not get into that.
But Minister Umahi came here and even asked of me.
Senator.
I said minister. Traffic minister, Umahi and senator.
Yeah.
He came here. He said, they have done the road. That I should go and pass the road. Now, you face traffic again?
Rufai, I'm
Don't
tired.
worry, maybe he didn't leave home early.
We
leave
left
home at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m.
Think outside the box.
I will have to call my big Senator Umahi to come and deal with that.
I need a helipad.
Maybe Rotus overslept. I left home, after 8 o'clock.
Okay, oil price. Look, everywhere is just terrible. That's my report for today. I won't take up much of your time. Look at oil price. Look at this. 63.86 for Brent. West Texas, that's US grade, is at $60. Look at Nigeria's benchmark. If you are in Saudi Arabia, if you are Iraq, Iran, Libya, whoever, this is just bad. And even at some point for WTI, it gets to a point where if you are a shale producer, you can't even meet your operating costs if it gets down to, I think, 45 or, I think Trump wants 50. Anyway, Goldman Sachs has now cut down its oil forecast for at end of 2026. It's saying 58 now for Brent. West Texas at 55. Oh my goodness, it is turmoil everywhere. Then look at Scott Bessent. This is an incredible thing he said over the weekend. Bessent said that essentially nobody's looking at stock market looking at it. He says everyone wants to look at the stock market going down. And do you want to know what else went down? Oil prices went down almost 15% in 2 days, which impact working Americans much more than the stock market. They're trying to make excuses now to tilt away from that. If a recession comes, it's not a good thing because people start to cut down. So it's just everywhere. I think Asian markets, blood red today as it was on Friday, everywhere. I mean, just look at the Shanghai, almost 8% down. Look at the Hang Seng is at its lowest point since 2008. Nikkei down almost 8%, Kospi 5%. Look at the TAIEX in Taiwan. In fact, it was so bad, there were circuit breakers that were triggered in many Asian markets, even in US. So China, there was a circuit breaker. And the circuit breaker basically is just trading is halted when the index falls too far past a threshold. So China, Taiwan, Japan, even the Russell futures, Australia, Singapore, all heading downwards. What else is down? Bitcoin, European markets, down 6.2% for the stock 600. FTSE is down 5.7. CAC in France down 6. Look at the DAX down 7. European banks had their worst session last week since the since the COVID pandemic. Look at Bitcoin. We're talking about 120,000, now it's at 74. It's also down 10% over the last 24 hours. So it's just a sell-off everywhere. US markets on Friday, all down as well. I mean, I think the S&P now is heading towards bear market territory. All of them are down double digits from their highs met in December. It's just, everything is just falling. And it's pointing to another low. I think about 5 trillion was wiped off the S&P 500 over 2 days last week. So there's just sell-offs everywhere. It's to the point now where, some of the supporters of Trump now have come out to say something has to give
Elon Musk
too. So Bill Ackman, Persian Capital founder, he's a hedge fund manager. By the way, his Persian Capital is down about 11%. So he's feeling the pain. He sent out a tweet saying, listen, this essentially, the president has to call a timeout. If you look at the bottom there, but by placing massive and disproportionate tariffs on our friends and enemies alike, and thereby launching a global economic war against the whole world at once, we are in the process of destroying confidence in our country as a trading partner and as a place to do business. He says Trump is losing business confidence, and this is not what we voted for. What else? I do want to play one particular clip. There are a couple analysts on Squawk Box Europe that were talking about sycophancy in Trump 2.0 and how the people around him no longer can push back like they did in Trump 1.0. Here is that clip from early this morning.
An anecdote, which I can't tell you too many details because I don't want to reveal the person who told this to me. But I spoke to a senior member of the Trump administration last week. It was Chatham House, so I can't tell any rules. The Trump administration in the first term. This is Trump 45. And that person said to me, in Trump 45, we were able to act as a mitigating presence around the president. If he said one thing, we could argue with him. We could say, no, sir, this is not the right policy. There were a lot of grown-up grown-ups in the room. This time round, we are surrounded in Trump 47 with loyalists, just loyalists, who basically are doing the bidding of the president, regardless of the economic and political and international relations rationale. That is an enormous difference between Trump 45 and Trump 47. The grown-ups aren't in the room, and if they are in the room, they're certainly not speaking up.
Yeah, and so, by the way, China responded on Friday with 34% tariffs. So that now pushed, markets. Europe, as we speak, the European leaders are in Brussels right now discussing targeted tariffs. So we're going to get an announcement from them as well. To Nigeria, we already talked about oil prices and how that's impacted Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria had to put out a notice on Friday stating that it is essentially intervening in the markets. And they quoted $65 oil in this notice on Friday. Now we're at 60. So it's really bad. They dropped about 197. The logic is basically if you are tariffing emerging markets, and some of these things are so unfair, like Madagascar that sends like $700 million worth of vanilla to the US and buys less than half of that, you're putting a tariff on them, and Lesotho and all these other poor countries. Anyway, when you tariff these emerging markets, and I highlighted some of the things there, you are basically blunting the demand for their commodities that they sell overseas, which impacts the dollars that they can bring into their economies by selling them. So it's turmoil everywhere, and it could get worse
today. And the sad reality of that is the Trump tariff in the space of how many days has cost us $190 million to be able to defend our currency. And more is still going to come in the coming days because Trump is not sitting fire. But let me just say this as we go. Trump's tariff is now rated number 11 on the chart of the worst days for the markets. In fact, it's higher than the Great Depression sell-off of 1931. The S&P 500 plummeted about 10.5%.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the worst events in human history, thanks to Donald J. Trump.
In human history.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, it's one of the worst market drops. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's a really bad drop.
Well, you mentioned oil. You mentioned the markets in Asia. Markets all over the world have been roiled because investors are selling off risks.
Yes.
And there's no certainty that the negotiation that the Trump administration has promised would have any effect, because Trump insists that, what he has introduced is medicine. But this is the kind of medicine, as we have seen, that can kill the patient.
Yes.
And that's why they have these unsolved protests all over the United States.
Yeah, correct. Thank you for mentioning that.
Look, unsolved. This is a democracy, not an oligarchy.
Right.
And 50, locations of the Tesla company have been picketed by people saying, look, this government efficiency is, harming Americans, and our democracy needs to be preserved. Crypto also went down.
Yep.
It's now down to 79,000. So whatever gains the enthusiasm when Trump came into power brought, now we're seeing Trump, from a different direction in terms of the crisis, the distress that it is introduced locally and internationally.
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rotus.